All right, well, thanks so much for coming along today. My name is Keane. I work for Humans. The title of today's talk is Why Your HR Software Won't Survive the AI Shift and What Will. It's a bit of a bold headline to get you in the chairs in front of me today. But the theme of the presentation is to, I guess, help you digest what you've learned at the conference so far and help you in considering what systems will support and not hinder you when you're thinking about building your people systems for an AI future. So humans, who are we? Well, if you've heard of us before, you'll know that we're big AI innovators in the space. And 3 years ago, we were the first HRS to build AI native functionality, and today we're the first tool to really pivot to building an agentic AI solution. So, looking around the room today, we're connecting to probably 90 to 95% of the systems in the conference, and it's really more clear to us today than ever before what systems in this room will survive and which ones won't. So just a very quick introduction to myself. I work in the go-to-market team here at Humans. And my day today is just keeping people, leaders, CPOs on the pulse of what's happening in AI and supporting them to build an AI adoption strategy. And what I see time and time again is customers, non-customers, make impulsive decisions about what systems to buy without thinking about the future, about what systems they'll need to future-proof for an AI future. And if there's one thing that I really want to get you to get out of the conversation today is, what are the key considerations for me and my team based on where we're at today, in order to move up the adoption chain and what to look for next. So, coming off the back of the conference, I want to equip you with the tools to ask the right questions to future-proof your AI strategy to these vendors that you're going to be having conversations with over the coming weeks. But yeah, first, I just want to take it back to 2020 for a second. And what we've really observed at Humans in recent months is similar to what we observed in 2020. And at these major points of inflection for businesses, the people team very quickly become the most critical function in the business and the function that all others are relying on to adopt. So remote working, furloughs, mental health crises, cultural changes, let's scale headcount quicker than we've ever seen before. These are all things that were put on the people team in 2020, but now again we're seeing our customers lean very heavily on the people teams to navigate AI adoption across the business today. And what this looks like in practice is we're seeing across our customer base every single board agenda now having AI strategy on it to some capacity, sometimes even an AI mandate. And what boards are asking of their chief people officers and their leaders is, how can we reduce headcount by X FTE? How can we reduce manual work by X%? How can we scale by another $1 million without hiring any more in our operations teams? And this pressure, from speaking to people leaders feels intimidating. And the recurring question we see from our customers is, what do we do next? And, with the variety of the types of customers that we have at Humans, some, AI literate, some just struggling to find out where to start. There's truly no singular correct answer to this question for all of our customers. It really depends on where your org stands today, how AI fluent your org is, and how much of a propensity there is to implement AI across the board. So I guess reflecting on our customer base at Humans, I worked closely with our head of customer success to map out these 3 stages of AI maturity that we're seeing. And it varies based on fluency and adoption. And I wanted to use this to frame today's conversation. So the first stage being kind of setting the foundations with your system of records, some that have AI native functionalities. The second step would be to look at the LLMs that you have implemented in the business. So what LLM refers to is your Claudes, your ChatGPTs, and other tools that can read and act across the business. And then the third and final step is building an agentic workforce that is truly enterprise ready. So just observing this, the focus for the session is to help you pinpoint where you're at today, but most importantly, thinking about how you move along this adoption cycle or adoption chain. What are the questions that you should be thinking about? What are the key considerations that you should be thinking about next as you look to do more and more? So I'd like to start at stage 1. So, being mandated to look at your, how you can leverage AI in the business without any tools in place, naturally you're going to look at the systems you already have. And these mostly being your system of records. And, looking around the conference, 99% of systems today have some form of AI bolted on. And these AI bolt-ons can be impactful at first, especially for super users in the business, and they can be really great for small businesses just looking for a first step into their AI journey. But what happens is you very quickly realize that there's a ceiling, and this native functionality is limited to the data in the system, the knowledge in the system. And if you're a mid-sized organization or enterprise business that's scaling more and more, you'll quickly realize that you have more and more tools that you're asking your workforce to adopt, and that in of itself creates a blocker. So eventually, after a while at stage 1, you start to look up the adoption chain for more value, more automation, and better ways to use and leverage AI. And in honesty, what we observe is this is where many people teams actually trip up. So time and time again, at Humaans, we see teams lead core system evaluations with the question, can this system I'm implementing today serve our AI needs with AI native functionality? But when you realize that there's a ceiling after you've implemented this system, your needs evolve as AI adoption picks up in the organization too. The system then quickly changes. And it becomes, can the system that I implemented serve our AI needs beyond native functionality? And getting this right is crucial. We're actually seeing at Humaans more than ever before organizations taking one step back before having to take 2 steps forward. And before reaching stage 2 or stage 3 in your adoption, you have to first really critically assess the system of records and the systems that you have in place that lay the foundation. Because there's no AI without your data. There's no AI without your people systems. So when you're speaking to potentially new or current vendors over the coming weeks, I'm going to give you some insights into what kind of questions you can ask them to ensure you're future-proofing your AI strategy and for what is to come next. So you can see a few buzzwords around here. I want to break it down into 2 focus areas and that you should be challenging them. So the first is openness. So philosophy of openness. It's true, as I just said, AI can't function without a data layer in place. And it's really important to question how easy is it to tap into that data. So at Humaans, we really pride ourselves on being open API first from the ground up. fully investing in this idea that having an open ecosystem allows you to connect to whatever best tools you want, and we have hundreds of integrations natively with partners in this room today. And we want our customers to be able to use their data to connect to whatever they want. So I'd be asking vendors questions like, are they friendly? Are you friendly with others in the market? Do they give you full control of your data? And where it goes? Is your API documentation clean? Do they block APIs for other vendors? And it just gives you an idea of how friendly they are and how they will really help you, enabling you to go beyond just stage one. And the next point is particularly around, accessibility for AI. So it makes sense to question your vendor of whether they're building an MCP that makes it easy for you to connect to your LLM. And this MCP is a bit of a buzzword at the moment, but it's really going to be the future for how your tools connect to LLMs. So the second point is data maintenance. So, if AI needs data, the system it lives in and it's contained in needs to be maintained well. And this is something that we think really deeply about at Humaans. How to make data maintenance as easy as possible for our customers. And you should ask your vendors, how are they thinking about building mechanics within their tools that make it really easy for AI to access the data. So thinking about data hygiene, data validation, is this something that's naturally baked into your product so that that it's ready for AI? And flexibility is another big one, and probably a buzzword that's been flying around the HR systems industry for 10 plus years, but now it's really more crucial than ever that, organizations are naturally very complicated, especially if you're an enterprise business and using an enterprise tool. So it's never been more important that AI is able to interpret your organization's DNA. Typically what we see is that systems are just stitched together with custom fields. And there's one super user that comes into the system is able to understand how the organization is made up by these. But I would challenge your vendor more and more in terms of how they're thinking to make this accessible. All right, so I hope that was helpful for if you're evaluating, a core system, HRIS, ATS, even a knowledge base. But I want to look now at stage 2. So at a state where you have, the right foundations in place, yay, amazing. What's the next step from there? So you may find that, you may be more comfortable more and more building agents, and it's really easy for you to extract your core system data out of your system, building insights using Claude, GPT. It's really all fun and games. But what we've observed at Humaans, especially with our larger mid-size enterprise customers, is the question gets a bit more complex as to how much a general purpose AI, your Claude or ChatGPT can actually support beyond the individual level. So progressing to stage 2 is fantastic. It's a great step, but it needs to be enterprise ready. And we need to be thinking about a few more things if it's going to be enterprise ready. So can the LLM really understand complex people data and org context accurately? If you want to build this, where are the resources coming from in the business, both to build and maintain the system? And thinking about things like data security, permissions, control, auditability are all crucial to how we buy in enterprise software. And in reality, from our experience building Athena for the last 2 years, we've landed firmly on the conclusion that general purpose AI was not built for enterprise HR. And what we've seen, time and time again, even from our customers, and Gratefully, a lot of Humaans customers are, incredibly AI literate, some of the most forward-thinking AI businesses in the world. But we see, people ops wizards start to build something that can, orchestrate across all of your systems and stitch things together. But we see every single time that they get about 70–80% of the way and fail. And it's really because what a build that is enterprise ready actually requires is far beyond what it may seem on the surface. So we've 5 points up here, all equally important. We've AI expertise, integration build and maintenance, permissioning, protecting your data, security, and auditability. And, just to think about it like this, HR data is the most sensitive data in the organization, and it requires a level of protection around that data unlike any other data in the business. And it's also complex in nature. Even people, maybe some of you have a PhD in organizational design, it is truly complex to understand for an LLM model that's not trained. So the overarching point is, this is really difficult to figure out. And why would you want to build something that you don't understand? And that's the case when you delegate something like this to your product and engineering team that are not HR specialists. So our take at Humaans is let the experts do the work. Permissions, integrations, domain tuning, security, auditability. These are all critical, and they challenge dynamics of building enterprise-ready software that your engineering team and your product team just simply do not have the capacity to build and maintain. So we've reached the fully realized endpoint, stage 3, the most powerful. And I'm excited to show you more about what we're building with Athena. So this is the fun bit, the product. We're calling it the zenith of AI adoption, based on our 3 steps. But it's the fact that it's truly enterprise ready and equally agentic that makes it quite the zenith. So yeah, what have we been cooking at Humaans for the last 2 years? This is Athena, and Athena agents sit as an extension of the People Ops team, and you can configure your agents in natural language to work across the entire employee lifecycle. And each agent in and of itself owns a specific domain of work. So you can see here, for example, onboarding, help desk, people and culture, performance. You can really make any agent to orchestrate any domain of work that you wish. And you can see as well that each agent has a specific set of jobs that it executes across your entire people stack. So what is the problem that led us to building Athena? So we just touched on the problem of build versus buy, but just to go back to thinking about stage 1 and even the native AI functionality within tools today, even using and adopting those, people ops teams are still overwhelmed by the volume of requests and admin work as it's heavily scattered across different systems, and there's no source of truth. So you've requests coming in from Slack, from Teams, from Google Mail, Gmail, calendar invites, and so forth. And then the context is all scattered across your HRIS, your ATS, your knowledge base, maybe your ticketing system, DocuSign, all of your different systems, even in Slack channels. And the truth is also the processes that live across many different systems, like onboarding, your comp cycles, various different reporting elements are all manually stitched together and error prone. So this diagram here perfectly explains how your workforce interacts with Athena and how she works with your tech stack. So Athena is built to integrate with all of your best-in-class tools. So your HRSs, whether that's Humaans, our own tool, or Workday, or HiBob, and your best-in-class applicant tracking systems like your Ashby's, your Greenhouse, your EORs, your DocuSign, any of your knowledge bases, your SharePoint, Google Drive, the list goes on. And it really sits as this orchestration layer sitting on top of these systems. So it's we call it our single pane of glass, and this is the single pane of glass through which all of your workforce can interact with it. So that's the people team, your employees, managers, and so forth. And Athena's powered through Slack or Teams, depending on your business. And this is where your workforce can create specific requests that Athena can answer. This is where we see a ton of the immediate value. Saving kind of 80-90% of those mundane, frequently asked questions that's distracting your ops team. But Athena is intelligent enough to triage these requests to the right person in the organization or correct team, keeping that human in the loop, which is incredibly important. And Athena can also execute workflows completely autonomously, and this is across your entire stack, your different systems, with any triggers that you want to configure in natural language. And we'd love to show you more, the agent configuration and the types of workflows that we're running with our customers today. But one thing I want to maybe end on is, the adoption piece, because this is kind of the core problem that you come back to with some of these AI native systems. It's like they're not meeting employees where they're spending 98% of their time, and we know that Slack and Teams is where we're constantly living on our day-to-day. And I have a video here. I'll just let it run for a little bit. A bit of a Loom video of me using Athena yesterday, but meeting employees where they're at has never been more important. As we have more and more tools that we need to jump into in the organization, and meeting people where they're at is the key driver of adoption. And it's one of the main limitations of getting true value from these tools with AI native functionality. So I'm going to hold on to suspense. If you'd like to see a more in-depth demo and how we jump into Slack, come over to us after the talk today. But I just want to end on this note of the impact that we've seen reaching this stage 3 of AI adoption get for our customers. And we'd love to chat to you more about this. Specifically, we've seen 80% of requests being answered by Athena. Much quicker reporting, pulling insights from your data is much easier, and we're seeing this save 10x of your time, and everything is tracked and audited within Athena. So it's bringing it all into a source of truth. But this is all about the sales behind the tool. But the point of this is, if you're answerable at the moment to a C-suite or to a board asking for numbers like this, from you today, where we're seeing the real person impact is, we're really transforming how our customers are showing up to these C-level meetings today by implementing Athena. So let's talk. We'd love to continue the conversation. Really appreciate you taking 25 minutes at the end of the conference to listen to me talk about AI. But yeah, we're just behind myself here at stand DD42. Obviously, would love to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. Feel free to email me if you'd like a copy of the slides to show your team. And yeah, thank you so much.